All right, today we're going to do some review on ratio and proportions. For the most part, you've seen this before, but proportion happens a lot in similarity because your sides are proportional. So we're going to spend a day and focus on just that. So a ratio, remember, is a comparison of two quantities. So you can either write it with a colon in between or as a fraction. So here, converting units, 24 yards to 3 yards. You can do 24 to 3, which is the same as 8 to 1. Or here, centimeters to meters. Since they are different units, 150 centimeters, there are 100 centimeters, and a meter is 600 centimeters. And now that they're in the same units, we can simplify that. So that would be 1 to 4. Okay? Here we didn't have to worry about that because they were in the same units. Using ratios. The perimeter of a rectangular room is 48 feet, and the ratio of its length to its width is 7 to 5. Find the length and width of the room. Okay, so this could be any multiple of 7 and any multiple of 5, so we're going to think of it as 7x and 5x. Perimeter, remember, is 2 lengths plus 2 widths for a rectangle. So if my perimeter is 48, then I have to have 2 lengths, so that should be an equal sign here. Two times 7x plus 2 times 5x. So that'd be 14x and 10x. So then when you add those together, you get 24x, which will make x 2. Okay, which means that this is actually 14 to 10. So you have a length of 14 feet and a width of 10 feet. Because we found that the multiple was 2, so 7 times 2 is 14, 5 times 2 is 10. The area of a rectangle is 192 square feet. The ratio is 3 to 4. Find the width and length of the rectangle. So again, I'm going to think of this as 3x to 4x. And area is length times width. So I have 192 equals 3x times 4x. So this would be 12x squared. Be careful there. X times x is x squared. Then if I divide 192 by 12, I get 16. So then x is positive and negative 4, but in context, only positive 4 will make sense for lengths, which means that the width, 3 times 4 is 12 feet. The length, 4 times 4 is 16 feet. So this still gives us our ratio of 3 to 4, but those would multiply to be 192. The measure of the angles in triangle JKL are the extended ratio of 1, 2, 3. Find the measures of the angles. So if I draw a sketch here, I have a generic triangle. I have 1x, 2x, and 3x. And then we know that altogether these have to be 180 because it's a triangle. So that would be 6x equals 180, which makes x 30. So you would have 30 degrees, 60 degrees, and 90 degrees. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. This time our ratio is 1, 3, and 5. So we have 1x, 3x, and 5x. Those combined have to equal 180. So that's 9x. So x is 20. So my angles would be 20, 60, and 100. A proportion is having two ratios and setting them equal to each other. Cross product means that you can multiply across. So if you have two proportions, you can cross multiply. Extremes are top of the first ratio and the bottom of the second ratio. And then the means are the bottom of the first ratio and the top of the second ratio. So these two right here are extremes. These two right here are means. So we would say y and 5, 4 and g, if that helps you. Which of the following is not true? So really, ultimately, we have 5y equals 4g. So let's just multiply and see. So this is 5y equals 4g. So that's okay. 5y equals 4g, okay. 5g equals 4y. That's wrong. Then 5y equals 4g again. That's okay. All right, next page. Solve the proportions. So we're going to cross multiply and divide. We've been doing this in our algebra reviews. This part, again, you should be pretty good at by now. When you take 2 times this binomial, you have to use parentheses so that you remember to distribute. So in this case, y equals 4. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. Again, I want to remember to use parentheses so that I remember to distribute. It's a common mistake. So 90w minus 150 equals 10w plus 10. So if I move this over, I have 80w. If I move this over, I have 160. So w is 2. Here, again, be careful. When you have x times x, that's x squared. Okay, so this one, it looks like we're going to have to factor it because it's a quadratic. So I moved everything over to the left. And then I want factors of negative 16 that add to negative 6. So I think that would be negative 8 and positive 2, which makes x positive 8 and negative 2. So this has 2 answers. Okay. Again, I would highly suggest using your parentheses so you don't forget to distribute. So then you have x squared plus 7x, 5x squared minus 5x. Okay, I'm going to get my x's on the same side, my x squareds on the same side, and my x's on the same side. So, or actually, I'm going to get everything on the same side. I'm going to move both of these to the right. So if I subtract that, I get 4x squared. If I subtract 7x, I get negative 12x. And then this is 0. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull a 4x out. And you have x minus 3. So x is 0 or positive 3. The ratio of the side lengths of the triangle is given. Solve for the variable. So AB to BC is 2 to 5. So remember, this is like 2x to 5x. So you have 2 to 5 equals x over 20. Okay, so cross multiply and divide. 2 times 20 is 40. If you divide by 5, you get 8. Okay, for this one, we can't really do a 3-stacked proportion. So let's start with AB to BC. And I definitely want to include BC because that's the only one without a variable. So let's do x plus 3 over 8 equals AB to BC, so that's 3 to 4. So then you have 24. Then I'm going to distribute. So x equals 3, which would make this side 6 and this side 4. Geometric mean is a proportion where the means are the same numbers. So if you remember back, the means are the bottom of the first one and the top of the second one. So these would be two numbers. Let's just pick some for now. Let's say 1 and 3. And then these on your diagonal, your means, would be the same number. So for 4 and 9, we'll set up our proportion like this. And then we're going to solve for x. So we would get x squared equals 36, which makes x positive and negative 6. Okay. Then 12 and 24. Most of the time in context, we'll throw out the negative, but since they didn't give us a context of length or anything like that, I'm going to leave both for now. All right, so here, 12 times 24 is 288. And the square root of that. We'll go ahead and leave in its simplified radical form is 12 root 2, whereas the decimal will be rounded to 16.97. Okay, again, since it's not in context, I'm going to go ahead and leave the positive and the negative. But if it was in context like length or distance, anything like that, we would throw out the negative answer. Your assignment for tonight is pages 23 and 24.